What's going on, everyone? Good morning. Hope you're having a great start to your Sunday morning as we're getting going here through our Labor Day weekend. Hopefully, most of you have tomorrow off also. But there's a couple things to talk about. There's nothing immediately threatening or anything like that. But we're gonna briefly break down this area that has a 30% chance to develop in the next 5 days. Regardless, I really think it's going to bring a little bit of some nasty weather along the Gulf Coast. Maybe it's just some Gulf moisture that comes into the Gulf states like the Panhandle and Alabama up into Georgia and even into South Carolina, the Carolinas. Could something develop? Oh, absolutely. Maybe a low-end tropical storm. But we're going to talk about this. Like I've mentioned before, you cannot trust the Gulf of Mexico, especially during peak hurricane season. So we're going to talk about the chances of anything developing here. There are some factors in place that are going to limit any kind of big-time development. We're not going to go super deep into that, but we're just going to take a look at it. But we're also going to talk about, there's some rumors going around about the potential for another big-time cold front, and there is a chance for it, but will it sweep the entire eastern U.S.? That is what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to focus on really in this video. You also got Larry, which is a 120-mile-per-hour major hurricane. Right now, no threat to the eastern mainland. It's going to get awfully close to Bermuda, but areas up here in way northeast Canada, like Newfoundland and places like that, I think chances are pretty low that you are going to get directly heavily impacted, but definitely probably getting very close to to basically any land masses that stick the furthest east out. So in this area right here. So we're going to break this down. If you guys have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you like the video, that helps the video get out there in the algorithm, helps mine grow. So thank y'all for the amazing support. Luckily, the weather continues to be relatively calm. So let's get going here. Also, if there's anything I can pray about, anything anybody else can pray about, put it in the comments, and we'll definitely say a prayer for you guys. If it's unspoken, just put that in the comments. It's important to remember prayer on a Sunday morning for sure. So let's get going here. This video is probably not going to be that long. I'll have a little bit more of a detailed one a little bit later tonight. But on the weekends, I like to double up my videos just to break down things and talk about different things here. But this is the latest GFS. You got Larry, major hurricane. This is an area right in here that we have to watch. And in regards to anything else, you pretty much just have some showers moving into the Ohio Valley, the Mid-South. They're not really going to make it to the southeast much, except here in the more western areas of the deep south, but nothing to really be concerned about or anything. But you watch Larry. Bermuda is right here. I know it's going to be a little difficult to see on your screen. Gets awfully close to Bermuda. In fact, close enough to maybe y'all see some outer bands. At the same time, you have this area of interest right here. And it pops an L here like a low pressure, but at the same time, this is probably equivalent to just a tropical wave, tropical depression. Not even a tropical storm, but this is, regardless, surging some moisture into the Panhandle of Florida, then in southern Georgia, and gets back into the open waters. At the same time, you have Larry that's beginning to turn back north, and then you have whatever this is. Is this Mindy? Is this the next named storm, which is Mindy? Well, if it becomes it, I have a chance. It has a higher chance to actually become a named storm once it gets back over off the coast of the southeast than it does maybe in the Gulf of Mexico. But we'll watch it. Obviously, the way the steering current is set up here is you got a high pressure right here. So this thing is going to continue to try to pivot on out to sea if anything develops at the same time. Larry gets wrapped around high pressure, and some different patterns have come into place. It did have Larry surging way up here, and you still have to watch that, which would affect potentially areas in Newfoundland, Canada. But now it just has it kind of turning and circling back around and just dancing out there in the North Atlantic and not really doing anything. One thing I was watching here, and we'll back it up here, is there keeps being some kind of area of interest popping up down here in the Gulf of Mexico. You got to watch that. It's been showing up a lot. Luckily, it looks like the last couple runs, just off the GFS, has really backed off from anything major slamming the deep south and the Gulf states. So that's a good news. But it's just one model run. It's just one operational run. These models are going to flip back and forth. But I will mention, You're not really seeing any heavy guidance of anything coming off North Africa the last couple days. The models have trended away from it, and I'll tell you that is good news considering the fact we're about to be actually right in the middle of hurricane season, peak season. So maybe we're timing up an unfavorable phase, if you will, in the heart of hurricane season. So that might be some good news. I don't see anything threatening really. But take a look at Larry. Larry looks good. Larry has about a 60 to 80 mile wide eye. I don't know if it's cleared out unless you got some kind of random boat, or we can ask a whale out in the ocean if the eye's cleared out. But it looks pretty good on infrared here. And it's a solid hurricane. It's a compact hurricane. It's not large by any means, but it's good. It's churning away and steadily intensifying. It's probably still has a good chance to reach a Category 4. So let's talk about what I love to talk about, and that is cold fronts and fall weather. So it's been a beautiful weekend, but what you're going to notice today across, especially the south, is humidity is going to spike. Even areas along the coastal areas in Northeast, the humidity is going to spike. You're going to get dew points back in the 60s and 70s. And it's still not going to be super humid today, but you're really going to notice it really in the deep south over here. You're going to notice the humidity's gone. So you'll notice humidity continues to creep upward. Temperatures are going to get higher. And that's how it is this time of year. We call it false fall here in the southeast. Around this time of the year in the Northeast, the interior Northeast, you really start to about September really just get settled into fall. In the southeast, you go through waves of very hot weather, humid weather, and then you get a random cold front. Not random, but a cold front that teases everybody and then gets hot as Hades again. But what I'm seeing in the medium to long range is as we get into midweek, these are dew points, guys, not temperatures. Don't look at this and say, oh, this is 50s right here. Dew points. I look at dew points as a gauge of what the air mass looks like. When you have lower dew points, that means that's a sign of a more stable, dry air mass. When you have higher dew points in the 60s and 70s, that's a sign of more a tropical air mass. So moving forward here, check it out as we get to midweek. This is a pretty substantial cold front trying to dip here. At the same time, you had that tropical moisture getting into the Gulf of Mexico, into the Gulf states. But it looks like there's a little bit of a ridge of high pressure right here that tries to flex the southeast ridge on the immediate southeast. So if you live, say, I don't know, Mississippi, I have no idea what is popping up here. But if you live from, holy moly, what is going on here? Let me see. All right, sorry about that. Just random good old pop-up wanting to tell me the daily news or something. But let me click on this and get back to the weather here. But if you live from basically Mississippi to Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, the Ohio Valley, the Northeast, this cold front looks pretty substantial for you guys as we get into or mid to late part next week. It sweeps down. You can see it clear as day, these lower dew points in the 50s and 40s. But then it kind of just bounces off right here. And it kind of stops and fizzles away. And it does not look like it clearly clears Georgia and the Carolinas. So, watching that, I do think some dry air is going to get into here by Thursday and Friday here in the Carolinas and Georgia. But we got to watch because this cold front does not look like it quite clears the entire southeast here. But there is a lot of dry air lingering around the eastern U.S., especially the Northeast, this coming weekend. So there's a chance that a lot of people could really see some nice weather again next week. But what I'm seeing here as we're getting into mid part of September is I'm seeing a lot of troughing. What I mean by that is a lot of cold fronts that are digging down. It's the sign of that we're gradually entering the changing of the season. And then obviously you get past 10 days out and you get this monster cold front trying to show up here. But once you get past 10 days out, you can throw any kind of guidance out the window, especially in the winter as far as like cold fronts and things. February of last year should tell us enough of that when we were trying to predict how far south that Arctic front was going to dig. That's for sure. But you look at the European, it's kind of the same deal. European only goes out 10 days, but it shows that cold front coming through, and these are dew points. Probably a little bit harder to see on your screen. My internet is lagging incredibly bad right now, and I'm not hooked up, so I'm just going off Wi-Fi because I was too lazy to plug in my cable. But This is a stout cold front. You can see it right here. These are dew points in the 40s and 50s. The European has this digging a little bit further southeast. So that's good news for people who want a cold front, which I feel like is most people these days. But this gets all the way to the panhandle of Florida with dew points in the 50s as early as Friday morning. So maybe another crisp fall morning for 2 Fridays in a row. Beautiful weather. So we'll have to watch how far this digs south. Now, of course, you in Florida, you're going to continue to bake. Normally in September, it's still pretty brutal down there. But this looks like a nice cold front late week into next weekend for the majority of the eastern U.S. So, let's see what we got here. Looking forward here. Wow, my internet, guys. I'm sorry. This is not a professional video at all. I don't know what's going on with my internet here. It is struggling. But you know what? Yeah, y'all are here just to struggle with me if y'all don't mind here. But here we go. So how does this respond with temperatures? Looking forward here, it's going to warm up. As we get into Monday, you see all these 90s and 80s. It's going to warm up big time. But you notice the Ohio Valley, places like that, the interior Northeast, they're still dipping down to the 50s for lows. But you can really see this cold front set up as you get into Wednesday, as you get into Thursday. Look here, this is highs Thursday. So you got highs in the 70s as far south as North Alabama into Tennessee, and the Ohio Valley looks beautiful. But at the same time, you have some lower temperatures down here, but this looks like because it's more so rain-cooled air. So going forward here, you can really see the cooler temperatures coming down as we get into Friday morning. You got lows in the 50s as far south as middle part of Alabama and Mississippi. So maybe some nice, comfortable weather coming up here. And you can really are starting to see these cold fronts digging through a little bit further. One thing I wanted to show you here, if it doesn't take 17 and a half years to pull up, is we're starting to get into that time of the year where you start to see a little bit of blue on the long range model. So I want to show you that and check it out out here in Canada. Look at this big old storm that shows up on the model here. Look at all that blue. I love seeing that. It is 360 hours out and it's in Canada. But when you start to see that blue on the map, that starts to tell you that you're starting to enter more cooler months when that snow starts to show up on these models again. So it's always cool to see. But that's all I got, guys. Sorry for the laggy video. I'll make sure I plug it in next time. I don't know what's going on with my internet. Normally I can do videos off Wi-Fi decently, but this one was definitely struggling. So sorry about that. Anyways, y'all have a great Sunday. Hope you're having a great Labor Day weekend, and thank y'all for tuning in.